All right, welcome to the very first episode of the Piyush Pawar Show, the show where emerging operators and proven builders unpack the real story behind innovation, scale, and execution. Today, guests don't just talk about distribution, he is architecting it. Boris is the founder of Let You Know and the platform that's charging the way of automotive transaction happen by eliminating outdated negotiation models, leveraging real-time demand to supply matching, and building a future where buyers and seller wins on their terms. He spoke on the TEDx stage, built in silence, scaled with intent, and most importantly, he's asking the tough questions few startup founders even think about it. We are not here to surface level stories, we are here to extract what's real, what works, and what next? I'm Piyush Pawar, founder and chairman of Synzep and Pawar Foundation. Let's dive right now in. What's up, Boris? How's everything going?
Hey Piyush, what's going on? Not much, not much. Busy per usual. A lot of work that's on our plate, and it's just pretty hectic. Like you said, I mean, we innovated a whole marketplace where people research their own deals like they are now, but then they go and let you know and bid less, whatever the best offer they got, and boom, instant result, and they got it. That's it. I mean, there is no negotiations, although you're gonna feel like you negotiated for weeks to get that kind of deal, except you didn't, and you got it on your own terms whenever you want to, and it's just another avenue of how you can get deals. Now, businesses, they get customers by doing absolutely nothing, right? They set their hidden thresholds. Nobody can see that. They do it once, and it will work exactly as if they thought about that in their own head all the time, perpetually. Today, in 5 years, 500 years, 5 million years, doesn't really matter. It will work exactly how you want it to work, which is incredible. So, and they just get customers at no cost to them. So that means that we are unleashing the supply, and they focus on their sticker prices, and we move everything else at zero cost without affecting any of their existing sales, right? So that's almost like you are autopiloting businesses without them doing a thing, which is incredible. So, in other words, it's a win-win situation, for consumers as well as businesses, and that's what Let You Know is all about.
Anyway, so let's jump right now into you have built something incredible with Let New Compression. But before we dive into all big moves you are making today, let's rewind and take us before your childhood and early years. Where did it all start for you?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether there was the origin. I mean, of course, there was an origin where I was born or whatever. But even before that, you can, I guess, theoretically, you can say molecules of me existed somewhere in the universe, right? Because you, as a human being, you're made out of what? Exactly what's the most common elements in the universe, such as hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, that kind of stuff, right? So technically speaking, all of this existed before me in some kind of shape or form.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's not that's not your question.
that's
Your
not
question where the inspiration and everything else, came in, where I started formulating the ideas of Let You Know, and maybe even the marketplace as it is today, or how it's going to be even in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, etc. Right? That is hard to say because I had people in my life who were highly motivated on academic side, such as my grandpa. He was a physicist, and my mom, who is an oncologist, et cetera, et cetera. So those people, of course, they put a lot of emphasis on education as well as mathematics, so that was one of the most fundamental, okay, disciplines that at least I focused early, I guess, in my childhood years, right? And that kind of allowed me to broaden my horizons where all of a sudden I started getting interested in statistics and many other things like that, right? So then, come college years, I started focusing on economics. A lot of people don't realize they think of economics as a social science, which it is, but in reality, it lies at the intersection of social science and very highly technical, okay, fields like physics, mathematics, because at the end of the day, all the models, okay, that are built in economics are based on empirical evidence, and that's something that you build
yeah,
using, like, let's say, mathematical tools, right? From Fourier
True.
transforms to log linearization, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that allowed me to at least to learn about the methods that I did not even know existed, right? And that sort of bridged me to the next step where I started accumulating a lot of data on the automotive side in terms of transactions. And then I realized, that we can actually develop a method where we can strike these transactions instantly like this and clear a lot of inventory without businesses incurring extra cost, which means that we are benefiting businesses as well as consumers, because they have access to deals that would not be possible for them otherwise, right? And so that led to let and of course, then we realized, hey, this can be applied across all kinds of new goods and services, and that's why if you look at our intellectual property, it's not just for cars; it's also for all goods, all services, which is incredible. And so it's not exactly. I guess I'm trying to get to the core of your question. It's not like there was an exact point that allowed me to have an epiphany and say, "This is what I'm going to do." I don't think that existed, but it was a continuum of a whole bunch of different experiences that kind of like a domino effect that led to this and that led to something else, and eventually you have, I guess, a more cohesive, right, story of
Yeah.
how everything started materializing. So that's what it was.
All right. Can you just elaborate like what is like Let New Corporation? What's the company about?
Well, it's about empowering people to name their own prices. So let's say if I want to buy a car, what do I do now? I just go to a dealership, right? I'm talking about new cars. I go to a dealership, I negotiate, I go online, I find the best price, and then I go back to the dealership and another dealership, use the price from one dealership to get a lower price at another one, and I play this game until I have my best offer, right? Well, would let you can do all of this, or you can still do that. It doesn't really matter. And then shows up and says, hey, why don't you name your own price? So whatever that best offer is, I have absolutely nothing to lose by going on and bidding less, right? And that means that I can actually get my own deal. So that means that now my homework, and all the research that I will compile on my own can be taken a notch further by utilizing let you know. And if you don't want to do any of this, but you still want to get a deal, feeling like you negotiated for weeks, except that you did not, you can still go and let and just bid, right? Your own price. And it's an instant result. It's not like you
True.
bid and wait, like typically how it is now. And it sweeps across all the sellers, right? And all the units. So that means that it's not just I'm bidding on a particular car. It's, of course, it's a brand new product. I mean, this car that's identical to another car is going to be, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter to me whether you give me a brand new Toyota Camry, let's say black color, okay, and identical car, exactly the same brand new Toyota Camry with whatever trim, with whatever color, like let's say black or whatever, at another dealership or at another parking spot with that dealership. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, those are exactly the same units, right? And
True.
so, boom, I get to name my own price and I get to get my own deal, right? Instantly. And it's locked in. I just go ahead and complete the rest of the transaction with the dealership and it's done. And the same idea soon will actually be rolled out across many different goods and services, such as I can bid on restaurant gift cards. So let's say I love Indian cuisine, right? So I want to, okay, go and, enjoy that. Paneer, okay, or like let's say some of the other delicious okay items on the menu that they have. Well, I typically let's say spend $40 or $50 or whatever that is. So I say Indian cuisine. Here's my zip code. Here's the search radius. Okay, this is the star rating of those restaurants, and I need a gift card for let's say $50, and I'm gonna bid let's say $27 on it. I bid, boom, done. Here's my if it is yes, I pay 27, not nothing on top, 27, but I got a gift card for $50. I go,
Right.
and I go to the restaurant that is displayed now to me. It's revealed, right? And that's it. It's I just saved
That's
myself
great.
$23, right, by doing absolutely almost nothing. So and the restaurant owner just got you as an incremental sale without disrupting anything. Their business goes as is, right? Plus they get extras. See?
Right.
So without paying anything, so they got you as a customer, right? Clearing
Right.
whatever hidden threshold they put in without actually doing any of the work, and somehow, okay, somehow, it all came together to fruition using Let You Know, right? So that's that's what the marketplace, at least in Let You
Okay.
Know shape or form, is all about. Yeah, it's
Okay.
striking transactions instantly. You know.
Okay. Okay. Got it. That's awesome. Let's dive into a like audience questions. We have just the first question is like, is now the best time to start a business, or we are too late?
Well, there is no such thing as too late. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are going to be businesses that will be, opened and born in 50 years, 500 years, et cetera, et cetera. There is no such thing as being too late. In fact, I can tell you that starting a business today is much better than 5 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 500 years ago. You have a lot more tools at your disposal. The input cost is definitely less, right? So,
Right.
for instance, yeah, so like let's say before, if you had customer service, you would actually have to have like a whole call center. Right now, you can utilize AI, right? You have a lot more
Right.
tools to how to build certain things. You have a lot more networking tools. So that means that you can connect to a lot of people. I mean, the one common denominator that's still present is insane. I'm talking about insane level of hard work that's required. Okay, that doesn't change. Okay, but as
Right.
far as, let's say, your ability to get a lot of things done, I believe that's actually getting better, and I am pretty confident it's going to be even more lucrative going forward. Is because we're going to keep innovating. We're going to make our life easier, and if our lives are, simpler in a way that we have more tools, more resources at our disposal, well, that's even better, right? So, and in fact, to let you know, would be able to help out the businesses there as well. Because think about this: if somebody is trying to open a business, like let's say they want to produce, as an example, umbrellas, right, for like
Right.
for, let's say, patios for restaurants, right? So they keep selling whatever they sell. Let You Know can sell it for them because if we have restaurant owners who sign up with us, we know exactly who to market, who are buying those umbrellas come March, come April, because that's when they replenish their stock. Days are
Right.
typically getting better and better. The weather is getting nicer, so people want to sit outside and they enjoy their meals, right? Well, that means that you don't want to have an umbrella with a hole in it, right? So you want to replenish some of that stock. Well, these business owners set their, like, let's say, autopilot hidden pricing settings matrices. Once it's all done, and then they just get all these extra business. So that means that we can actually help businesses to autopilot list a portion of their operations, right? With them doing nothing. I mean, you just then take care of the business, ship all these umbrellas to all these extra businesses
Right.
that you didn't have before. So we're actually helping you to get the demand side, which is incredible. I mean, this is just an example how life is getting better and how opportunities all of a sudden are growing rather than contracting. And hopefully, I mean, I'm not trying to get into politics at all, but hopefully, okay, we're going to be more integrated as a global community, right? That means that removing a lot of trade restrictions, etc., so we can do a lot more business and utilize what's called in economics comparative advantage, which means that everybody can produce something, okay, using fewer resources than somebody else. And if we do that, we utilize the same resources that we have in the world far more efficiently, producing more, and
Yeah.
that's a big benefit. That's what standards of living are. At the end of the day, it's how much stuff you can buy and enjoy in your life, right? I mean,
Right.
so
Yeah. True. Yeah. So, like, what is the biggest misconception about being a founder? Entrepreneurship is overrated in 2025.
well, I think, see, I personally, I mean, I understand a lot of people put a lot of value in the word founder. Maybe they have a lot of pride. To me, it's a meaningless concept. I have no idea what it means. I mean, founder, so what? To me, a more meaningful is more, I guess, from a legal perspective, shareholder. I mean, you are a shareholder of the company. That's now meaningful because you own a percentage of the company. And so that means that if company does really well, that means that, well, your wealth okay, based on your hard work, right? Because for the company to do really well, you have to work real hard. So based on the hard work, I mean, you are reaping results, so that's pretty good, right?
Right.
That's to me is more meaningful. Now, as far as like, let's say, creating the value, because at the end of the day, why people open companies, why people open businesses is because they see value. And
Yeah.
so that can be added to the society. And if a lot more people, okay, gonna participate and do their bit to make our lives better by adding value, well, that's great, you know.
Oh, all right. Awesome. If you were a US president for a day, what would you change to help entrepreneurs?
As a president, as the U.S. president, well, I mean, first of all, I would definitely, okay, I would abolish all the all the tariffs. I would actually try to create the free trade agreements as much as possible. That's what I would do. So that's one. I will definitely lower the taxes, okay, especially on the corporate side. Some people will think that you're helping corporations, you're trying to squeeze the little guy. That's not true. What you're trying to do, you're trying to create more opportunities, okay? By creating more opportunities, you will create more jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And does it actually work? Yes, it works. That's why, for instance, okay, if you look at the tax structure of the United States, okay, there has been a drive since I don't know 80s to decrease marginal tax rates, and guess what? I mean, our economy flourished. Also, we engaged in free trade agreements like NAFTA, etc.
All
Guess
right.
what? I mean, compare us to 90s, our economy is in real GDP is when I say real GDP, I'm talking about inflation adjusted, is way bigger now than what it used to be. I mean, it's the disparity is just mind-boggling. Okay,
Okay.
what I would do, I would try to create policies that will enable the growth of the economy as much as possible. And that will provide more opportunities for businesses, right? And also think about this. If you're lowering taxes and you're lowering the input cost of production for the companies, right, by increasing the free trade agreements, et cetera, what you're effectively doing, you are creating higher profits for the companies. Now,
Right.
those companies, when they have that extra cash, what they will do is one, they will invest more in research and development to be relevant tomorrow, right? Because they need to innovate and create value for the consumers tomorrow. So that means that they will actually put more money into creating products of the future, right?
Right.
Second, they will start funding more companies, right, through their venture arms. And that means it's going to be great for other businesses who will be born in this environment, but wouldn't have been necessarily born otherwise, because if these companies didn't have that extra cash to fund these companies, those companies would have no resources to become viable, right? And so
Right.
some of the businesses wouldn't be even born. And so I think a healthy economic environment is the key, So, and the policy to grow, okay, our economy is the key. And in fact, I mean, even if you talk about the current administration, there are some good things, such as like, let's say there is a drive to decrease that corporate tax, so that's good, And then on the opposite side, you have trade restrictions, which is bad. Now, I mean, again, I'm not taking sides. I'm just kind of like reciting, what I see. And maybe that's how it is with everybody. You're going to see some good and some bad, but hopefully, we're going to see a lot more positive news from a scientific
Yeah.
point of view applied to economics to grow our GDP, which actually is not just, it doesn't just matter to the United States, because what we do here it does have ripple effects across the world. So, good policies for the United States will lift the boats across the board, right?
Right.
So that means it's going to be good for everybody in the world as well.
Okay. All right. Awesome. What is the first thing founders waste money and they, after that, some kind of time they regret on it?
Well, that's a really good question. I'd say, okay, so I used to actually teach economics, okay, and one of the principles, like let's say when you talk about the supply side, one of the principles is at least something that I kind of briefly mentioned, and I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but now I do, is that when businesses create a product, okay, they don't really care whether that product is good for them. Like it makes no difference if you're the owner of the product, you're not really creating the product for yourself, and you're not creating something that you like necessarily. Okay, and they create because of the profit incentives. That's the key. But a lot of founders, at least a lot of businesses, based on my experience, what they do is they create a product that's really good for them, but that's not necessarily mapping to your consumers, who may actually be the final arbiters, okay, of your product, right? Because you're not creating it for yourself, you're creating for other people to use your product. And if they don't understand or they don't appreciate this setup that you created, okay, these features that you added into your product, you spend all that time and all those resources in vain, right? You are kind of pursuing something like some phantom, that doesn't exist. So I believe one of the key things is to try to identify your target audience. You may not even know who they are, but at least, okay, try to identify it and try to build it not for you, okay, but for those people. So you're going to hear a lot of criticism like this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, and you're going to feel like defensive maybe because you're going to think, well, it does work for me, I like it the way exactly how I designed it. Well, that doesn't really matter because you are not the only consumer. Yeah, you may be one out of a million, but you want to have the other 999,000, right?
Right.
So the key is, okay, make sure that you listen to that and apply that criticism constructively to create something that's going to be good, not really for you but for them. As far as you're concerned, you're going to use it regardless. And the reason is because at the core, the product will not change. So that means that if you see the value at the core, okay, shaping it into something that just look a little bit different and fits everybody else, well, that's not going to deter you from consuming anyway. So that means that now by listening to others who are going to be ultimately the consumers of your product, that's the key. And wasting all the resources, creating something that's really irrelevant for them, that's a waste, right? And that's what I see a lot of people doing, okay? And including ourselves. I mean, we spent definitely some time, and there was some, trial and errors, where we had to learn our lessons, but we pivoted pretty quickly and learned from those mistakes. So
Oh, all right. So, how do you know when an idea we have it's worth on quitting the job or doing that stuff?
I don't think you'll know exactly until you try. So you have to try. Okay. Now there are some ideas that are really easy. Okay, to try. For instance, okay, if you have like let's say some. Imagine that you live in the dorm and you create like let's say some social network. Okay, I'm just making it up, but like for instance, like Facebook, I guess how they did it.
Right.
And if you put a posters, okay, on everybody's doors, let's say they're not going to cuss you out or anything like that, you put those posters and you see whether people are actually going to sign up and use your platform. Well, that's a good sign. So something can be tested pretty quickly, right? So that's a good sign. And if nobody going to sign up and nobody going to use those, like let's say you put those posters, there is this new social network and nobody uses it, well, it's good as useless, right? So that means that you just proved yourself that it doesn't work. So certain ideas are easy, certain ideas are not easy. That depends on the complexity of the product itself. Such as, like, let's say, if you are developing electric cars, like Elon Musk and Tesla, I guess, in 2003, that's the inception. Okay, a lot of people think it's a brand new company. It's not. It's been over the block for the past over 20 years, in fact. But the point of the matter, that one is going to be a little bit more complicated, right? Because you cannot
Right.
just like let's say sample people in 2004, in 2005, 2006, and think that that's indicative. Sometimes you have to predict what will happen, but certain
Right.
things can be tested. And that's what it's all about. Try to
Okay.
do some at least mini
Got
test
it.
if you can.
All right. Got it. So, how do you see AI transforming the entrepreneurship and industry in next 5 years, and what role will AI reply? AI will play and shaping the future of businesses.
Well, obviously, I mean, it can help on multiple fronts, such as it can help you to practically have your own developers, right? So let's say,
Right.
and eventually the cost will go down. So that means that small businesses who are going to create certain products may actually have AI engineers. You see what I mean? Creating stuff for them in a matter of seconds, right? Where before it would have taken who knows how many years, right? And then, of course, customer service, that's going to be obviously AI driven. It's a lot better with AI. Why? Especially if you can make it human grade answers. The reason is because people are impatient, which actually is a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. That's a good thing because our lifetimes are finite, right? So it's perfectly fine to be impatient and utilizing your scarce resources, time, okay, in the most effective way possible. And so, if there are 1 million people who are going to ask questions on live chat, or let's say call you want to get the response right away. Not like be on hold or not like wait for the response, but just ask a question and bam, get the response immediately. I'm talking about immediately, right?
Right.
Human, no matter what, probably cannot keep up with those million requests like this. It's just not even feasible. But AI
Right.
can do that, no problem. And AI will never have a bad day. So that means that you're not going to have something where somebody going to be off kilter and they're going to give some odd response, right? Or going to get emotional or anything like this. AI is always, even killed. So, which is great, right? So that means that you don't have any, like, let's say, emotional aspects into it. It's just really trying to help people with their questions, which is excellent.
Right.
And so that's another element where AI is going to be incredible. Another element would be like, let's say you want to expand the business, you want to use marketing, or you want to reach more businesses on the supply side. Well, AI can do it for you. Like, let's say reach out to those businesses as if you have an assistant,
Right.
and as if you have a marketing assistant or anything like this. I believe that's going to be also definitely, well, I can't say definitely, but it seems like the trend is such that this is where there are going to be a lot of AI applications, so in businesses as well. And all of that means that the cost is going to go down. Yeah. So, which means that a lot more businesses will be created. A lot of people erroneously think that whenever you have capital, or like let's say AI or any technology or anything like this, okay, it displaces human beings, right? I mean, that's how the perception is. And that's true. Certain jobs are definitely going to be displaced, but it opens up because you have a lot more businesses that are being born as a result of that. It creates more opportunities. In fact, if eventually, if the cost of technology and capital going to drop all the way to zero, that means that everybody are displaced, right? Like, let's say all jobs are displaced. Well, that means that all of us are become entrepreneurs because we can create any business at zero cost practically, right? Why
Right.
wouldn't you do that? Have your own businesses completely okay driven by let's say AI, and whatever robots or whatever you want to call it, right?
Oh, all right.
So that means that you actually then will have your whole lifetime to do whatever you want to do, and the income will come as a result of your business that just run on autopilot. I mean, so that there is
True.
absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's probably going to be a positive development for a lot more people because then they don't have to talk about some work life balance or anything like this. You have just life, you know.
Just a
So
quick question. We have like, what is AI? Like AI, AGI, and AI. Like ASI, artificial super intelligence, artificial general intelligence. Can you just elaborate like what is it specifically? Because people don't know much that.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about like let's say the AI programs that just like let's
Yeah.
say answering your questions? Or are you talking about like let's say a little bit something different, such as like let's say AI? Okay, almost like creating another human being with another human being type of answers and everything else. I mean, because there are many different directions AI is taking. So if you're talking about the first one, what it does is it utilizes a whole library of, I guess, not infinitely, but as infinitely many different resources that are available to learn on it and utilize the questions, right? In
Right.
such a way that you learn based on answers and you learn on all the libraries of those answers and the literature to tailor to the answer. And then based on the feedback from the user to retweak your response to make the response better. So
Right.
that's part of the AI. That's where you have variance estimation models and things like that. How off you are from the true answer, and then you recalibrate. Another one is just more like let's say like let's say talking or responding, or like let's say even facial expressions, etc. It's also based on response data. It's just you see different facial expressions, you see different data points, different answers, different questions, and how you see how that changes to mimic that. So that's another one. Or if you talk about like let's say ability to develop something such as like programming or whatever. I mean, it's all at the end of the day is based on data points, right? The only thing that I'm a little bit okay myself uncertain is going to be something that's applied to yet. I don't know whether it's going to be achievable into not replicating what exists, but creating something that doesn't exist. Because, like, let's say we human beings, right? We come up with ideas that are just nowhere, okay, nowhere in existence at the moment we create them.
Right.
And so that means that we brainstorm something out of thin air to come up with ideas that push frontiers, right? I don't know whether AI can do that. I mean, like at least yet. I mean, if AI can do that, I mean, then the sky is the limit. Because technically speaking, it can take the whole tangent of innovations a lot more. But that's going to be a different AI because it's not going to be based on learning what's out there. It has to apply that to create something that's not there, which is difficult.
All right. Great question I want to ask with you that like you are the assistant professor at Ball State University, and what your thoughts on like we should take a higher college degree or not, or like colleges doesn't matter anymore, or we should work on our skills like that stuff.
Well, I don't teach. I used to be an assistant
Yeah.
professor at Ball State, but would let you know. I mean, I am would let you know full time. I mean, I would have absolutely no time right now to do any teaching. So that was you can consider that my previous life, if you will. But as far as the value of education, I think there is a lot of value. Now, education itself is that's a subject to interpretation what it is. So, for instance, somebody can say, I'm going to go to trade school, okay, to trade school, and I'm going to learn a skill, okay, and that's what I want. And that's super valuable because then you're going to learn something good and you're going to be really proficient at that task, okay? Some people look down on that and they think, like, let's say, higher degrees imply better, okay, maybe command of certain, like let's say knowledge, or like let's say they think that somehow you're improving. Well, that's not necessarily so, because if you're proficient in this, you're on the same level as
Right.
anybody with a higher degree or lower degree. It doesn't really matter. The key at the end of the day is to be proficient at something. That's, to me, is the value. Now that's why I think education, okay, itself is a positive thing. Okay, now some people, you can say, well, I have examples of people who dropped out, right, from schools, and then they created companies, etc. Well, to me, that's actually the same thing. It's the same as education, because what you're doing in education, you're spending years on something, right? Like mastering something. You're trying to learn something. Well, the same as, like, let's say you open the business, you're gonna have sleepless nights all the time. You're gonna be constantly working on something. So that means that you're actually, okay, creating like let's say a product or service by applying your brain, your cognitive, okay, power to something, okay, and making it work. So that means that you are becoming proficient in that particular task. And so at
Right.
the end of the day, it's the same. It's just a matter of you working on something nonstop that creates that proficiency. So to me, it's you being proficient at something that matters. Okay, whether you're going to assign a college, like let's say some degree or title to it, I mean, I don't think that matters. I think it just you want to be proficient at something. That's the
Right.
key. And if you're really, really okay, I'm talking about if you have that kind of foresight into the future, you want to be proficient at something that may have a chance surviving over time, right? Not becoming obsolete and being displaced by AI or anything for that matter, right? So from that perspective, you kind of want to invest yourself into a field that likely will stay, right? And if it doesn't, well, then you go back to go back to the drawing board and get another proficiency or skill.
Right.
So because the life is fluid, and dynamic. But to me, being proficient at something is the key.
Okay, all right, awesome. So, like, which industry will innovate the most in next 5 to 10 years?
Well, that's a hard question. I have no idea because there are so many. Energy industry is obviously going to be big because of all the solar, etc. I mean, the cost is going to keep on dropping. Okay, batteries are going to be big, right? Because you got to develop batteries to store all that energy and transport it efficiently within seconds anywhere in the world, right? As well as batteries for cars, eventually planes, all kinds of other stuff, right? So you want to have batteries that are efficient, not old school the way we have right now, that are not efficient, hefty, and susceptible to climate changes. I mean, not climate, temperature fluctuations, right? So those they come to the forefront of my thought process, right? That I see a lot of changes that are going to be implemented, and one of the reasons for that is because also of climate changes, right? So it's almost like pushes us to innovate in those directions, right?
Right,
But in reality, any industry will be transformed. It doesn't really matter. Just like, let's say, if you look at the past 20 years, you may think that internet, cell phones, etc., smartphones, that's really the key driver of innovation and growth. Well, yeah, it's something that you can observe, but there are infinitely many other things, that improved as well. I mean, you used to have taxis, now you have Ubers. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, so in reality, every single industry is going to be transformed one way or the other. It's just going to happen.
right, right. Awesome. So, like, it's all about like personal questions, like how do you deal with a self-doubt and a fear of failure as an entrepreneur?
That's normal. You should get used to it. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you're not used to it, you need to, because that's normal. And also, if you're actually that concerned about failing and you are trying to doubt yourself, think about this. At the end of the day, your life is finite. You're gonna die, and so regardless, you're gonna die. And so what does it matter in
Right,
1,000 years, 2 million years, whether you failed or not? Nobody will remember. Nobody will know you, in fact. So that means that, well, maybe take a solace in that it's okay to fail, and you want to utilize your time, okay, in the most efficient way possible, and try to go for it, try to fail. In fact, try to fail. I mean, that's good because you're
right.
going to learn something. And if you learn something, that's a positive. And that means that you're going to come out ahead, and you may, like, if you keep failing but keep creating, keep hustling, keep trying to do something, you at the end of your life will be ahead than you didn't, right?
Oh, all right. And if you had to start a Let's New corporation in 2030, how would it be a different?
I think at the end of the day, it's all about hard work. So that's not going to be any different. The semantics of it will change, of course. They're going to be more maybe AI reliance or whatnot. But still, it boils down, at least in the present form in 2030, is not that far away. It still boils down to hard work and hard work and hard work. So
Right.
that's just the way it is.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about on a Silicon Valley. What's something you saw or felt there that you think every entrepreneur needs to experience at least one?
Silicon Valley, I have no idea. We're based in Seattle. I have no idea what's going on in Silicon Valley. So to me, no clue. I
So,
mean, we signed up a lot of partners, automotive groups who are in the Silicon Valley. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we are in Seattle. I mean, it doesn't matter to
oh,
me what's happening in Silicon Valley.
all right, no problem. So let's get into what's one thing that about automotive industry you're passionate about and fixing it.
I'm passionate about resource utilization. I want businesses to transact at zero, pretty much to drive the cost as close to zero as possible. Okay, remove transaction costs, remove search costs, remove all of that. Marketing eventually remove all of that. And to me, okay, let's say automotive, you have producers, okay, they are really good at what? Producing vehicles. And then you have dealers who are really good at servicing vehicles and moving those vehicles to consumers, okay? So the key is help both to do their job that they are good at, okay, without any of the extra costs at all. So that's what I'm passionate. I want to move all of that, and that means that consumers will have access to things they and deals they wouldn't have otherwise had, right?
Oh,
Because
all
if
right.
we're able to remove and minimize those costs, guess what? Consumers are going to be ultimately benefiting because they will have access to lower prices, right?
All right. Got it. And if you could leave like a short audience with no final piece of advice, something that they can apply to their own entrepreneurial journey today, what would it be?
I mean, I think okay, you just got to be prepared that it's gonna be a nightmare. Like a journey of entrepreneurship is not glamorous. Okay, it's kind of like 99.999% suffering. I mean, that's just what it is. And then, but then of course, 0.0001 okay is when something works and boom, you get the result. At that moment, you're gonna be excited and you're gonna think like, oh my God, I've done all of this, and maybe that moment is worse of all the sufferings combined, because at that moment you're going to realize that you've created something that was not even attainable, okay, and you did it. And I believe, okay, so being at least open, okay, to all those failures and suffering, okay, for the benefit of that grand moment when you're going to achieve it and you're going to be like, yes. And of course, then it's going to follow by another blur of, a series of sufferings and all kinds of other stuff. But it's going to be another moment where you're going to be like, yeah, again. And those yeah moments, I think, are worth it, So my advice, be open to all of that. Don't be discouraged. That's the key. And just keep pushing.
All right, all right. That's all right, Boris. So it's been an absolutely pleasure having you on the show today, and it's our first episode of my podcast. So thank you for it, and thank you for sharing your insights, your journey, and vision with us. I'm sure our audience will take a lot from this. And to everyone turning, if you want to learn more about Boris and Let Me Know Corporation, check out the links in the description below. Make sure to follow and share and stay up to everything he's doing. And that's a wrap of the today's episode of the Piyush Pawar Show. Stay tuned for a more inspiration conversation. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries of what's possible. All
Thank you
right.
so much. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Have a
Yeah.
wonderful
All
wonderful
right.
weekend. Thank you.